All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Epic Thoughts. You know, normally we just kind of do our little what's going on, get excited, boom, boom, boom. But you know what? Today is a special day. I don't want to waste too much time. The current cold climate that we're experiencing right now today, I think it's important that we get some voices in here outside of Carla and myself, who is here. Carla, say what's up.
Hey, guys.
So I think it's important that we get some voices that share and talk about the hard conversations, the conversations that need to happen. We're going to talk about what needs to be said, what has to be done, what should be done, and what are some of the answers that we have moving forward. And we just got so much to cover right now. So I'm just going to do a real quick intro. I'm going to ask each person on the call today, on the Zoom, just give us a little bit background about who you are. We will start with Murray. So Murray, go ahead, introduce yourself.
My name is Murray Raybon. I'm 37 years old. I've been Black all 37, and I've been in law enforcement for the last 14 years.
Awesome, thank you. And also on the call today, we got Mikey Baby. Mikey, what's up? Say what's up, introduce yourself.
What's going on? How you guys doing? I'm Mikey. I'm a filmmaker. I'm really interested to see how today goes, to see how the conversation goes, and because this situation is affecting us all. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. And also we have all the way from Texas, Leon Daniels. Say what's up, Leon. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Leon's my government name. Y'all, everybody on here knows me as LJ.
LJ, I'm sorry, LJ.
But so yeah, Leon Daniels, currently residing in Texas, been in the military right about 19 years and currently working in the corporate world, and just excited to engage and communicate and share thoughts and ideas.
Awesome. Also, we also have from Pomona, the incredible Judah One, otherwise known as David Judah One. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up, y'all? Peace. I am Judah One, David Judah One, poet laureate, Pomona, California. Host and founder of Lion Like Mind State, Machine Pomona. Citizen advisor to the Cultural Arts Commission of Pomona, California as well. Several other things, but that's mainly it. Poet.
Awesome. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say what's up to my friend I haven't seen in a while, Mr. DJ Scratch and Sniff, Ivy Finlayson.
You know, I make guest appearances for the big topics.
Yeah. Shout out to all the people who are tuning in right now on Facebook, man. You guys are blowing up Facebook already. So we're about to get in it. Let's get in it. Where do we start, Carla? It's so much to get going. Where do we start from?
I want to know how, I feel like with this last situation with Mr. Floyd, it was like the straw that broke the camel's back, So if maybe some of you it was already broken, I'm not sure. I want to know, what was your initial thought when you saw that video and you saw this man murdered by another police officer, another Black man murdered by a police officer? What was your thought, Murray?
Initially, it as bad as it may seem, there was no reaction. It's the norm. And if you don't have a feeling to that, that's the problem, because it's been continuing to go on for such a long time. I think lately we've been inundated with a lot of videos, and this seems to be the society that we live in right now. You can't go anywhere without someone picking up a cell phone and recording somebody falling, fighting, fussing, cussing. It doesn't matter. Somebody's going to be recording it. But to say that I had a reaction, I'd be lying if I said I did, because this is kind of typical. Being in my career field, I've come across individuals like this, and it's always a butting of heads, because once someone realizes that you're not about to put up with their ideology, and they know you're right and you know you're right, it kind of makes your standing a little bit more firmer on the 10 toes that you have to stand on. And when you see things like this going on, not to say that they went on in my department or whatnot, but you will come across scenarios where you need to speak up and be that voice, because some of these people in these situations that they put themselves in because they've seen things on TV, they've seen how Black folks act. They never really have a direct correlation on how the Black experience is, other than the middleman, which is the media. And so when they come out in real life, they all have the same reaction. It's shock and awe, because it's not as what everything's great and good when you're not directly involved with it. You can say in Monday Money Quarterback all that you want, but when you're a white kid from a good parent background, you had picked up your master's degree, you have good credit, you passed all the scores to get on the police force. Now you have to come in contact with a 6'2", 234-pound Black man who's upset that his girl is tripping on him because he called him cheating. How are you really going to react? Your master's degree is not going to help you. This is where people skills come involved, you know? And I think that's one of the things that's lacking in today's time of people in general. We've become so separated from having people skills. That's the most important people that we have to deal with, are people. And if we don't have those skills, we don't practice those skills, we don't refresh those skills, we tend to have situations like this happen over and over and over again. Because you can tell somebody how to act, you can show somebody how to act, but you don't really know how they're going to react until it's time to act. And I think that that's one of the things that needs to change in the future, if this thing is really going to have some legs and all this is going to be worth something.
Thank you, Murray. Mikey.
Yes. How did I react?
Yes, sir.
I haven't seen the video. When they first came out, I can't watch them. I know what happened, and I was upset. I didn't know he died, because somebody sent me the video, and but I didn't look at it. But the first clip of it, you could see the guy with his knee, the cop with his knee on him, and so I saw that, but I didn't know that he killed him. And then when I found out that he killed him, it was like I didn't all the way feel like Murray felt. I kind of felt like that, where there wasn't a reaction. But it's like, being a believer, it's almost shameful for me to admit that I'm scared. I got kids, and it scares me when I see it, when I see that. And then the randomness of it, like, we always hear is this person over there or that person over there, and it's just a random guy. And I'm like, man, that could be, like, God forbid, I don't want it to happen. I know I'm covered, I know I'm protected, but, like, who's to say he wasn't? It was just, who's to say Philando Castile wasn't covered, And it makes me sad. It makes me sad, and it makes me scared. And I don't, like, during these times, I don't even want to leave the house. I don't want nobody that lives in my house to leave the house, as much as they get on my nerves.
Thank you. LJ.
So for me, when I first saw the video, it really told me, and it continues to be a scenario in which they're eroding the trust of the very institution that's sworn to protect us. So correct me if I'm wrong, Murray, but you guys are sworn peace officers. The whole goal of the police is to de-escalate the situation. So that was my first thing. My second thing was like, man, there's 4 cops there. Somebody's got to hold somebody else accountable. Just speaking personally from the military, we have a battle buddy system. we hold each other accountable. You know, if you're messing up, you say, hey man, you're messing up. There's no need for that. Or we don't need to take it that far. The next thing for me was, to me, looking at the video was like pure hate, like pure hatred. And I said, man, the idea that someone could hate me so much and legally kill me while people are watching, while people are around, that kind of unnerved me. You know what I mean? So those were the things that really, I mean, that really kind of hit me. And I agree with Mikey and Murray, specifically with kids. How do I explain this to my children? Because this is the age of social media. So whether we want to or not, we can only protect our kids for so long. They're going to see the news. They're going to hear the things. Their friends are going to talk about it. So it came across my mind as, how do I explain it? How do I explain that their color might affect how they're treated later in life? And how do I go about telling them you could do everything right and still be wrong? And the last thing I'll leave with is, when I was coming up, I grew up in Inglewood for about 13 years, and then I moved to the IE. But my father, who's about 78 years old, he lived through the civil rights. He lived through segregation. And he would teach me things, and I would just be like, what are you tripping, man? This is, 2002, or this is, this doesn't happen. And he would teach me these things, and now I understand why he would teach me these things. So that's what I have.
Thank you, LJ.
Yeah.
David.
Word. Well, my first initial, I heard about it. I don't know when everybody else heard about it. My dad always sends me videos. So my dad sent me the video, and I didn't watch it because my dad always sends me videos of, people fighting and, Discord and police stuff and this and that. And I don't like to see it. And then, as it spread more and more, I was like, I am not watching this. Police killed somebody else. I don't want to see it. I don't want the image, this and that. And then it was before the marching happened, maybe 2 days before the marching happened, I watched it. And I was like, I'll be damned, man. These motherfuckers, G. Sorry for cussing on y'all shit, but that's how I feel. It's some bullshit. Just straight up. That was my initial thought and feeling. This is some bullshit. This is that continued bullshit. And all people are going to do is march, and it's not going to be shit. So I don't do it. I don't believe in marching. But it ended up being a lot of shit, because I'm going to continue cussing, because I think the irreverentness is going to drive all the points home. I think a lot of things did happen, but it wasn't necessarily because of the protesters. There are a number of outside players, Caucasians, cops, starting riots, doing the violence, things of that nature. I learned today, I was at a job site in Redlands. Redlands is known for being pretty racist as well. I was out there in Redlands, and the guy was like, yo, so, these curfews and everything, they're trying to curtail or slow down the Great Boogaloo. And I never heard the Great Boogaloo before, but I knew exactly what it was when he said it. And then he was like, yeah. And the dude next to him was, what's the Great Boogaloo? I think they both knew what it was, but they were kind of, fucking with me. You know what I mean? And I never heard of it, but, I slowed down, like a movie, like what? And so, but I was in front of him doing my inspection, and he was like, yeah, it's the next Civil War. We're waiting on that shit. And in my field, I'm in construction. So I'm an inspector. So when I walk on, I'm the boss. So there's not many of us, number one, and there's not many black ones. And so on job sites, it's constant. They have SS tattoos. They have, Klan stuff. They have all kind of tattoos all over them. And, I work with these guys, and while we're working, we're fine. We're talking, but I know, when shit goes down, they will shoot me in my back or in my head. Like, that's no problem at all. And so that is the climate. And so today I wasn't necessarily shocked. I wasn't shocked. Unlike everybody else saying they're scared, I was not scared. What did give me cause for pause, more pause, was when the provocators of the protests actually started doing the things that I said the protesters should be doing, which are things that are actually going to start a war, burning up banks, going after police stations, going after, these big institutions. Those things are going to start something major, and they're doing that on purpose. So that's a whole different thing. But I don't know, man. I don't know what needs to happen. I want to be peaceful, but God says seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and righteousness translated in English is justice. So you're supposed to seek justice first. Amos says you're supposed to let righteousness come down and justice like a mighty spring. All these things are supposed to happen before peace, and we want peace. We're supposed to get justice first. So praying for peace and all that's ass backward right now. I don't believe in it. I do believe in justice. And I would like to see that done the correct way. But if that does not happen, the things that are being done, and I'm going to say it just like this, are absolutely the things that should be happening. Courthouses should be burning down. Police stations should be burning down because they're not doing their jobs. The judges keep letting people off. They're not holding the law. The lawmen are not holding up the law. The Bible says in Hebrews, I think it's Hebrews or is it Jude, it says, if you're not holding up the law, you're going to make the people sick. They're going to be sick of you, and they're not going to like the law, and they're going to hate the law. They hate the law. What they're going to do? They're going to overthrow the system. So I don't know if we're at that point yet. I don't believe we're at that point yet, but keep pushing. So that's my thought, and that's my that's where I'm at.
Okay, what about you, Ivy? And then Ramon, you.
I actually watched the video, and what I experienced was one, anger at first, and helplessness. Like, there was a bunch of people there yelling at them to take his knee off, and you can see the man's body go lifeless in the video, which was the most upsetting part, which upset me the most. And the cops are doing absolutely nothing. So it went from anger to another one to how many more times this have to happen before something changes. And until something changes, this is what's going to continue to take place, is what we have here. Riots and discourse.
Something to change.
Hmm?
What is the thing that's going to change? What is the something?
Police relationships with everybody, especially minorities. If that doesn't change, how the cops patrol us, how they treat us, then this is still going to keep going on and happening.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, Ramon.
I feel like I followed the majority on this one, but I think I felt everything that everybody has said. Like, I wasn't going to watch it. I wasn't going to watch it because, I don't like seeing death, and then somebody pushed me to watch it. So I watched it all the way through. And then I felt numb. And then after feeling numb, I felt a little bit of hopelessness. Then after that, I felt angry. And I've been trying to process it for the last few days. And it just makes me angrier. And I've been almost everything that everyone said, I've had that emotion. I agree we need to hold people accountable. I do believe we need to hold elected officials accountable. I do believe that there needs to be a sense of mobilization on the people's part. I'll tell you this much. I'll be completely honest with you. When I first saw it, for the next 48 hours, in my head, violence was the only answer. Violence was the only answer. As a matter of fact, I'm about 6 days left on my 10-day waiting list. That's how quickly I moved. Okay, so I went and I got me taken care of real quick, because I'll be damned if it happens to me. And we all of us on here are fathers. We got babies in the house. There's more to life, and we understand that, but we know that every time we get pulled over, we always got a process in our head like, okay,
Yep.
Is this it? Is this the last time I'm doing it? And even if you do everything right, like, I got a process. Like I'll be doing too much on the pullover. They pull me over. I throw the keys out the car and both my hands. I just dangle my body out the window, literally hang out like this. Like, but even then, we don't know. So I had all those motions. Here's the thing that I like to put myself in the moment. So in that moment, when that cop had his knee on that man's neck, all I could think to myself is, I know it's about to get violent, but why do we get violent the next day? Right? You got people watching from across the street. I was counting, I watched the video again to watch how many people were standing there and watching him die. And people were saying, get him off, get off his knee, get off his knee. And I know it probably cost them life. It might cost their life, but why didn't somebody intervene at that moment?
Just to jump in on that, my bad to cut you off in your train of thought, but it sounds good in theory.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
In the thought in the moment,
yeah,
I should do something. I should do something to you. And you hear him in the background. If you wasn't wearing that badge, I would put these things up to your face. It sounds good. It sounds good. Until somebody actually acts on that, because they know, just like you and I do, they can wind up just like old boy that was laying on the ground. So it sounds good. It sounds like the thing to do.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead. Finish.
Let Mary finish.
No. Do your thing. Do your thing, man. It's all good.
Go ahead, Mikey.
So you talked about the violence. So I'm with you, David. I'm not a fan. I've put up Facebook posts. I'm a firm believer that peace is not the answer. Peace is a reward. Peace is a reward. Peace isn't an initial step. That doesn't make sense. And we're taught throughout the Bible, we're taught throughout history. But like Murray was saying, it sounds good to say for someone to step in. It sounds good, but here's the reason why no one will ever do that is because a long time ago and yesterday and the day before that, they made an example. They made an example of the person that did step in. They made an example of that person. And so for the rest of us to know, look, nigga, don't jump in. Yes. And if peace is the answer for all the people that want to talk about peace. So like there's a lot of confusion around the peace talk because they put peace with love, but peace and love are two different things.
Say it again, no.
That's why I said peace and love. It doesn't say peace is love, peace and love. So to get justice, that doesn't mean, you hate. That doesn't mean you don't love the person. I won't go here yet. I'll let the conversation go a little further. But I did want to just say that they made an example. And to David's point, the only way that it's going to stop is if there's an example made.
I'll make a comment just because this is on my mind and I don't want to forget it. All this could have been, now this is hypothetical. All this could have been avoided, in my opinion, as a person that's in the profession, if they would have charged all of them, right?
Yeah.
So my thinking is this: we all got kids, right? We all tell them what to do, how to do it per se, in theory, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes the kid says, "I don't want to do it." They get broken and they realize, I'm just going to do just enough to make them happy. So you get so tired of fighting with them that they realize that they can do just enough. They charged that dude. They charged one guy when it was 3 people on him and 4 should have been charged. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They did just enough. We, the city, the state attorney, whoever it is, we need to move swiftly, but we need to have evidence. That's an oxymoron. Because the evidence that was presented to you from 32 different angles, from 4 different sides of the street, was enough for you to move swiftly. But yet, you guys do just enough. And that's the problem with our today's society. We didn't accept it this time, but in the past, Philando Castile, Trayvon Martin, we've accepted just enough. It's okay if, look, they go to trial and the jury, now they shift the blame on the jury. Well, the jury didn't do their job, but they did just enough to make everybody happy. And that's what has happened repeatedly over the last 5 or 6 years. This time, people said, you know what? That's not going to cut it. Yeah. Because he wasn't the only one leaning on his body. Everybody in here that saw the video know that he was not the only one leaning on his body. They're going to say that he had fentanyl in his system from the county DA autopsy. But we all know he died from smothering. Asphyxiation is the correct medical term if you want to get technical. Go ahead.
I just want to, I hate to cut you off on your point, but I want to point something out, right? So in the beginning, I was trying to decide, and I was a bit impartial, but when the rioting and the protesting and everything began, ironically, it opened the conversation up to more people. So I don't want to say that the rioting and looting is good. I don't want to say that it's bad, but it captured America's attention in more ways than one. And I've seen more diverse backgrounds come out and speak out and say, you know what, I was wrong to make fun of this topic before. I was wrong. And so I think while I don't condone killing small businesses, it is the collateral that got the conversation to America's doorstep. Because, and I wrote this the other day, I believe America's just so siloed that there are people out there that really just don't even know what's going on. They're completely confused. So, and to just kind of back Murray, it wasn't swift. It was like they were testing us, you know, how much further can we push it? And yep. the analogy I use, and I told my wife this the other day, I was like, you can only ignore a child for so long before the child starts screaming, kicking, knocking stuff over in the aisles and acting crazy. And then the child gets your attention because you're embarrassed.
We're not children.
And I don't want to paint that picture, Judah. I knew that was come out.
But some grown ass people dealing with injustice here. But I get you.
The analogy is this: create enough of a disruption to get your point across and to open the conversation. That's what it is. We are children, and I don't mean it in that way. I just mean it has opened the door for conversation.
I want to say though, and this is a caveat into my next question. Do you want to say something, Ro?
Yeah, real quick.
Go ahead.
I want to ask Murray. So the officers that were involved were fired the next day, but they didn't press charges on the main guy. I can't think of his name on top of my head.
Chauvin, Officer Derek Chauvin.
Yeah, Officer Derek. They didn't press charges on him and arrest him for murder for like days later. Is that part of the problem? Like, should he have been?
Absolutely. One thing people have to realize. Go ahead.
Talk about the pension, and talk about.
I'm leading into that. Right. Okay. So what people have to understand is, if change really wants to come, money has to be affected. This is a good sizzle in the pan. People breaking into a jean store on South Side of Long Beach. It's a good thing that Melrose was the Fight Club, the shoe store that everybody dreams of going to get sneakers. is broken into and all the sneakers are taken. That's great. I'm sure the insurance money will cover all of that. However,
That's why I'm like, look, we were in pandemic for 2 months. A lot of these shops ain't made no money. And now these rioting, it might have saved their business because they get the insurance. The ones that don't have insurance, they standing out in front of their buildings with guns.
Oh yeah. It's like 1992 all over again, G.
Like, you're not coming up in here.
Like yeah, they're it's like the Koreans protecting Koreatown back in 1992 during the riots. They're like, you're not gonna do this. We don't work so hard for this. But to transition to that, it's just like when money is affected, that's when people start listening. Like you're gonna burn down a lot of stuff in South LA, Fairfax. Like when you start getting to like major areas of traffic, i.e. the Rodeo Drive, i.e. bank institutions, that's when you get people's ear. And one of the things that upsets me is the fact that a lot of people have this misnomer that, number one, all of this is a planned, coordinated attack. It's done by some, but it's not the message by all. And I think that once people realize that, it helps us put things in better perspective, so to speak, because we realize that some people really don't want to protest. They don't care if George Floyd died or not. They don't even know who he is per se, by name. They just want anarchy. And anarchy gives them happiness because chaos breeds happiness for them. And once we realize that, and once LAPD realize that, sheriffs realize that, I think that it is easier for us to come up with a better solution. Because do I have all the answers? Absolutely not. But I guarantee you this, I know how to treat people.
I got a solution, G. I said it about maybe 8-9 years ago. I don't remember how many years ago. It was after Zimmerman killed Trayvon. It was after one of the cops killed somebody. I said, this is what should happen. Police kill somebody, you charge their ass just like a normal person. There is a minimum for killing somebody, just like there is in China. I think in China, you kill somebody, the cops get a 5-year minimum, period. The second thing you should do, because you took a man out the house, your pension, your retirement, you don't get it. Your family don't get it. It goes to that man's family. That shit, you killing somebody on the street, oh, that's over with if you know your family can't eat no more. Because that's what you're doing to someone else. Their family can't eat because of your action. I think we do that. That right there, your pension's going, your retirement's going. Adios. Adios. They ain't doing that shit no more.
To counter that, I think that one of the key things is instead of having taxpayers pay that, have it come out the police pensions. You know what I'm saying? I have a pension. I'm gonna be straight. I'm not worried about that. However, if you have these political groups who are all in bed with each other in some way, fashion, or form, instead of having the taxpayers pay it, have the police pensions pay that. Instead of backing somebody from the 35th district, they're not going to do that because they know that they would legally and physically fall apart because it would be so many lawsuits upon lawsuits upon lawsuits. They wouldn't be able to sustain themselves financially because a lot of the stuff that they do is based off the fact that they can cover because the cities is going to cover their tab. It's just like having a tab at a bar. When the police officer shoots somebody, the police officer don't pay for it. The bar pays for it. So if somebody's running up a tab at the bar is going to eat all of that. And that's what they do when there's things that go wrong, right, or indifferent.
And that's what I'm saying. You make the individual financially responsible for that person's life.
Not even the individual, dude. I go to the police unions because that's when shit starts changing. Excuse me for cussing. That's when shit starts changing.
Unions too, I feel that, but the union's gonna feel it if Murray kills Judah 1 and all of Murray's pension and retirement is gone, and everybody else in the union's gonna be like, union, do something, and be like, you know what, we can't. You know what y'all should do? Y'all should stop killing people.
Yeah.
But I also think that would help the police. So a lot of times they're going to stop a lot of silly stuff because now it's affecting me. I'm not just going to let you mess up.
In theory, that sounds good. And the same thing with me standing on the sideline recording on my phone while somebody get their head beat in. It sounds good. But are you really gonna have the balls to do that? I know I do.
To do
I'm
what?
not saying I'm speak up when some shit going foul. That's just me though. I'm only one person. You know what I'm saying? Because when something goes foul in a ride, I'm definitely not gonna get my kids' future in jeopardy. Number one. Number two, I'm not gonna put my future in jeopardy.
We
Number
ain't even got to
three,
do all that because there's video, Mary. There's video and film of
I'm
most
saying,
of the shit
I'm just
going on.
saying.
Samir Rice, all these people going on,
There's
man.
there's plenty of video.
Film of it.
There's
film
plenty
of
of
it.
video.
So the person, it's undeniable. So the person that is guilty of that shit, their retirement, their pension is no longer going to their family, and they're going to jail for 5 to 10 years.
I'm 112% in support of that because
ain't no good behavior. It's 5-year minimum. Period.
Being a police officer is being able to control yourself when you need to control yourself. Think about that for a second. If you can't control yourself in a moment where you need to control yourself, you don't need to do the job. Period. You know what I'm saying? If you hang a pension over somebody's head, it will definitely change the way they think because their future is in jeopardy.
Can I ask you in jeopardy?
Should there be?
It should be. In my opinion,
it should be. Just like if I was a career criminal and y'all arrest me, y'all gonna seize everything that I got. It should be the same thing. Everything that you bought while you were a cop, you was a cop for 20 years, you bought a house, you bought some cars, this and that, your family is homeless just like ours. That should be the real shit. That should be the real thing. Everything you acquired while you were a cop. Everything you acquired. Everything.
All right, we got Leon. Leon got something to say. Leon?
This topic came up on my timeline. I'm interested to get your opinion on it, or everybody's opinion. Are the police criteria that comes with employment? Someone said police need to know the law better. I would argue that you learned the law in the academy because you told me, Murray. But do we need to look at the overall hiring process? Is it working? Is it not working? Are we vetting correctly? That's just a question that I want to throw out there because we're talking about the unions, and I get that. But how about we go up the chain a little bit?
As a person that trained new boots, that saw how gullible and receptive to information that they were, as a person that actually did that for a year or two, and you see somebody come in, and I have my master's degree, I had a 4.0 UCLA cert, and yeah, but that's good. But can you talk to a homeless man that's keeping everything in the shopping cart that he owns and values of the possession?
So what you're saying is, can you relate? And my
you
whole
have
thing
to understand. Go ahead, Lee. My bad.
My whole thing is, I believe in, like, you should police the community that you come from, not necessarily, take this guy who lived in rural Alabama, and we talked about this, Murr, and then throw him over into Watts, and he has no idea how to deal with our people, our way of life. He's not exposed to our culture. I've seen the police do this. So my question, like you should come from the area that you are policing. I feel like that would tone down some of that rhetoric.
You wouldn't be able to meet the numbers, dude. And right now it's about numbers. It's unrealistic for somebody to be a police, to be honest with you, is to have a clean background and a good credit score. You literally get ushered in. Oh, look at this guy. Michael Williams, he has a 730 credit score, and he's only smoked marijuana one time in his life when he was 16.
Hey, you know what, Murray, can I tell you something? Hey, can I tell you something? The Iraq War, the Iraq War in Afghanistan, I almost went and joined, right? They wouldn't let me, Mary, because my credit score was 630. And they're like, your credits, but I was like, dude, it's a recession. I'm trying to get a better job so I can make more money and have better credit. They're like, no, you can't be police. I was like, I can't be police? Are y'all shitting me? I can't be police? Damn, y'all do me a favor.
Hey, look, when I tell people that that's the criteria, they're like, look, and you talk to the background investigators as a whole, you start to put pieces of the puzzle together. You look at them, and it's like, well, that demonstrates financial literacy and responsibility. I'm like, are you asking me, like, not everybody has that education, so how can they perform on the same IQ test? It doesn't make any sense to me. You don't come from a background where your dad's a CPA and your mom's a fucking professor at USC. That doesn't make any sense to me. But yet you want this person whose dad is a CPA and mother a professor at USC to go to 51st and Hoover, try to talk. Come on, man. Like, it doesn't make any sense, dude. You don't have any life experience. How are you? You don't know how many times I've sat in my car by myself, getting my thoughts together, knowing that I got to protect me and another person like it's my child. It goes beyond the realms of possibility of your thoughts. You got to look out for you and somebody else. So now, not only am I a parent at work, I'm a parent when I go home too. And I'm just saying, like, this is just my thoughts. There's people out there that actually do this job, that actually go out there and say, yeah, man, you can do whatever you want. You can slap that dude in the face. Dude. So now the bad behavior is being passed down to some new guy who thinks that that's the way to work. And this is where our problem lies.
We have some questions from the people. You want to respond to that real quick, Mikey? And then I'm going to ask some questions from our viewers.
Well, I just wanted to, I wanted to say what I believe the solution is, along with what I already know that what my solution for the problem is. It'll never get heard and it'll never happen. But I really believe this is the solution. So like we talk about justice and like 5 to 10 year minimum for doing the act like this, the killing an unarmed civilian, period. That isn't nearly enough. Like life in prison ain't even enough. Like I really believe that those officers need to lose their life. I believe that they need to lose their life publicly. That way their family has to continue to see it. George Floyd, his family, in the next 40 years, they'll be able to pull up the way he died. Everybody will. They'll be able to pull up the way that he died, and they got to relive it. And God forbid it happens again to another Black person. But when it happens to that person, they're going to bring up George Floyd again. And then George Floyd's family have to relive that. So you know what? We take those men's lives and do it publicly, do it on camera so that their families have to live. And I guarantee you they'll start thinking twice.
So you're suggesting, so an eye for an eye?
A life for a life. You know why? Because we want justice. Justice is balance. We want balance. And balance only comes, justice comes when blood is shed. That's justice.
But Jesus shed it already.
Right. Okay, then. So don't put him in jail. He don't need no consequences.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
You're gonna kill a child that has nothing to do, a wife that has nothing to do with another man.
I'm not killing the family. I'm not saying kill the family.
Just kill that man. Yes. So we're going back to execution.
Execute him. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So jail's not enough.
You don't. No. Absolutely
death
not.
penalty?
I think
Carla, reach out to your family. George Floyd can't do that.
Hey, doesn't the Bible say don't let many of you be teachers of the law?
Nobody.
Hey, don't the Bible say don't let many of you be teachers of the law, for you will receive a stricter judgment?
Yeah.
Right.
Totally
so it should that applies to lawmen. That applies to judges. That applies to people who uphold the law. Not just.
Let me ask you this.
Because you make the people sick. You hate the law. You make us hate what we should be obeying.
If I were to kill a police officer, do you think they'll be outside of my house peacefully protesting?
No.
What do you think they'll do to me?
No. You'd be upside down somewhere.
They're gonna take my life. They're not gonna put me
upside down somewhere. I think one of the things that we have to really consider.
You know why? Because they're gonna make an example out of me.
Absolutely.
Do this to one of us.
I'm all for the the eye for the eye approach, because I feel as though if you hold people
I
accountable,
think it's reciprocation.
they have no choice. They have no choice, right? So if I'm doing my job the way I'm supposed to be doing my job, and a situation, what'd you say?
I said, if I'm doing my job the way I'm supposed to be doing it, I'm gonna live a long life.
Look, man,
but I get that because if you kill somebody accidentally, basically you're gonna die anyway. It's what I was gonna say. His view is a little too harsh.
No,
like my view on that. No, I totally understand.
I'm not talking about accidents. I'm not talking about when it had to happen.
You talking about on purpose.
Exactly what we saw.
On purpose.
Murder.
What we saw.
On
Murder.
purpose. Like my whole thing was with that.
You're talking about murder.
They don't teach that.
See, because here's the thing. As a cop, guess what? Guess what the full extent of the law is? As a cop, 3rd-degree manslaughter. Probation to 25 years. Do you think he's going to get 20? Do you think he's going to do 25 years?
I totally
he could literally get probation. He could literally.
I totally understand that. And
so the law
this is where legalities come into play.
Right.
But
the law.
The
law softer.
Laying in your house. Or you just
my whole thing was this
for being in your apartment. You could be chilling in your apartment, get shot, and then
nothing happens.
And your murderer goes to jail for 10 years.
You get 10 years. Out, but that family is out of a family member, but you're still out, and you got the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I totally understand you guys' point of views.
Publicly.
My whole thing was you people are tired of the runaround. You know what I'm saying? Last time I checked, from 32 different angles, across the street, across the street, across the street, from somebody's dim sum restaurant, you had 3 officers on top of that body. Everybody wants to focus on the neck, and that may have played a part in it. He's just the sexy part of the equation because he was on the neck, okay? But what about the other 560 pounds of pressure that was on his body on the other side of the car that people don't want to talk about? What about the other individual who was trying to block the camera from you that people don't want to talk about? So now we're talking about 3 other individuals that people have problems with, but they figured as though we'll just do just enough and charge the sexy part of this equation and the person that was on his neck, because the person on his neck killed him, right?
So if me, Leon, and David do that to anybody, but Leon is the one on his neck, they gonna let us go? They gonna let me and David go?
No, in theory, that's what's happening, right? That's what's happening, right? Because they haven't been charged by
regular, not cops.
No. They not. And that's the problem that I have with this whole thing is if they're gonna have swift justice, as they say, you have to charge everybody involved and let the court system figure out what it is they're going to do. At the very least, you are making people think about what they do before they do. At the very least, you're making that. Now, I'm not justifying.
He had 8.5 minutes to think about killing that man before he was dead.
Dude, last time I checked, when I take off my uniform and I go home and I drive to my house and I pray to my kids and I love on my family, I'm Black, period. Last time I checked, for 37 years, I've been this way. For the rest of my life, I will be this way. And when I tell my 11-year-old son, I don't want him hopping my fence in my own backyard because I don't want somebody in my neighborhood to get a misconstrued idea about what he's doing so I can save his life, I will always be on the side of me being Black first, period. There will never be a second that I change that, because my objective now, having people that I have to look after, is to look after them, period. I'm not going to sit up here and be political. I'm not about to sit up here and be facetious when I sit up here and say, oh, well, you should have thought about this, that, and the third. No, because that Black man could have been my Black ass, period.
Yeah.
That's the end of the story. because I have gotten pulled over by police as a police officer and have been told you should have said something at the beginning of the stop.
Can I ask a question? Why would him losing his life be too harsh a punishment? Why would him being killed be too harsh a punishment? And I'm talking about making it legal. I'm not talking about just randomly going and hunting this guy out. That is not what I'm saying. I do not want that to happen. What I want to happen is for justice to really take place. That's why she got a blindfold on and holding the scale, because it's about making it balanced. And the only way to make it balanced is for him to lose his life.
And
everybody charged, if it's too harsh, then why do they do it to us? If it's too harsh, if it's too harsh, why when the rioting and looting started, he said, "You loot, we shoot." He didn't say we're gonna send them out there to peacefully protest. Y'all rioting. We are gonna peacefully protest. Peaceful protest. I am sorry, and this is just my opinion, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but it is the stupidest thing. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. To me, peace.
I totally understand. I totally understand, man. I've been in several protests before that were peaceful, and I was just telling my old lady the other day. I said that shit is stressful. Now I can only imagine being in something that's not peaceful, because the stress, that's the stress level goes up tenfold, right? And with respect to what you're saying, Mikey, yes, as a human being, you want an eye for an eye. As a human being.
No, I don't. I just want justice. I just want justice.
But justice is justice.
I want it
you
to be
gotta
made
understand.
balanced.
What I understand justice is.
Not manslaughter, not third-degree manslaughter justice. Justice
is fluid. It changes from person to person. This black person may want eye to eye. You may want an eye for an eye, but this black person may not. So we have to establish. Because one thing about apartheid that people don't understand is the whole South Africa and Africa as a continent should have been burned up in flames. Apartheid should have been an example for the world to follow, that shit is wrong and we are doing it wrong. But what they did was have everybody say what on court record. They had everybody go and say what they did wrong in order for the system itself to be burned down.
I think that Derek Chauvin should be publicly executed. I think that the other three men should be publicly executed, because the man that they killed, that family has to live with that for the rest of their life. And it's gonna be thrown in their face for the rest of their life by people grieving with them or people just trying to be there for them. We don't know how, what if they 6 years down the line, they've moved past. They finally got good, but now we bringing up George Floyd again. And look, I still got the video. That's what they got to deal with. That's what they got to deal with.
I hear that too.
I was just rushing home to beat the curfew, and
straight up, me too.
The military was literally in tanks riding on the other side of the street. And I mean, I'm on the 10. I'm going east, they going west, because we got 10 minutes before it's 6 o'clock, before it's 5 o'clock, I mean, and they got tanks, they got the big, huge trucks, and it's 30 guys, 40 officers in the back of the truck, and they got guns, and they looking directly at you. Come on, man. You know why? Because violence works. Violence works.
Yeah.
Some questions. Ramon, do you want to add anything? LJ, Ivy, do you guys want to add anything before we move on?
Nope.
No, I'm good. I'm sure they weren't tanks though.
Well, not tank-like. I mean,
yeah, they were probably personnel carriers, but yeah, I get your point.
No offense. Sorry.
Nonetheless, they were intimidating as hell walking coming down.
Ivy, do you want to say anything before we move on to questions from our online viewers?
No.
Okay, so a lot of, obviously the conversation has been fluid, so there's a couple of things that people on here are interested in. And I think some of you already touched on this. I want to say, I think we all could come to agreement that most of the people rioting and looting aren't people that want real change, from what I've heard everybody say here.
Oh no, I think they do want real change. I don't think they want the same change.
There you go, the same change. Thank you, sir. Then let me rephrase that. They don't care about the movement or about Black issues in America. They have their own agenda that's separate. Is that what you're saying, David?
They may.
Absolutely.
They may. One of these. That emoji.
I think it's more of an opportunistic event right now. And it's a lot of people who are angry and are expressing their anger that way. So I think it's a little bit of both.
It's
It's the great boogaloo.
It's a
The
little
great
bit.
boogaloo.
I honestly, I
First
think
of all,
baited at some level. There's a level of being baited into something with some of the riots that you're seeing, some of the looting. I think we're being baited into a boogaloo. That's what I think.
That's what I'm saying.
So there's a lot of people that I see on the internet. I have a very diverse group of people in my social media world. A lot of people that are not Black have something to say when it comes to looting and rioting, but they don't want anything to do with and say and speak up about the murder that happened, which furthermore creates racial tension in our country. So what do you say to those people? How do we unify those people? How do we all unify together? Because I feel like at the end of the day, people want to live their life, be happy, support their family, feed their family, and live in peace. Even though that's a utopian perspective.
I'll give you something, Carla, and I'll take it back to elementary school. The hokey pokey ain't a real thing. You can't have your right foot in and your left foot out.
Okay.
You can't have your left foot in and your right foot out.
Okay.
You can't do it. Because if you gonna do it, do it. You know what I'm saying? You can't half-ass it. You can't be cool with being Black and or African American when it's cool and you sit up here millie rocking. That's the shit that people love. You sit up here millie rocking like I could do this too, guys, but let a dude get his neck stomped out for 9.5 minutes and you just like, dang, they for real. It's a respect matter, and it's cool. Like I said before, in theory, it's cool to be cool with Black culture and Black people. But when it's time to actually be with Black people, you need to be with Black people.
That part.
So
I'm just saying, man.
So my question is, what does that look like? How do we, I understand, I hear what a lot of you are saying is accountability for the police force. The method may be different in everybody's mind on how we hold these police accountable, but how do we unify, not just as brown, Black people, but as all Americans, because we're all a melting pot? How do we enforce change?
When everybody get kicked in the stomach, that's when we enforce change.
Okay, how do you reconcile though all of the people that don't believe in violence?
Let me add to Murray's point when he's talking about the hokey pokey, and I hear your question, Carla, and my response to that is piggyback what Murray said. There's been a time, and we still kind of living it today, where being Black is like the cool thing. Like everybody want to procreate Blackness. They want to be our style. They want to do this, they do that. And I make a joke about, I have one friend who's always yo, 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 until stuff hit the fan. And then we got to ride up on somebody. He's like, you know what, guys, I don't think we should. And he's completely proper. He never uses the slang again. And like,
who you got to ride up on?
Like, I'm serious, bro. Like,
that's what I want to know.
Who, me?
Who you got to ride up on?
Hey, people trigger me sometimes, David. I keep it on the back burner, but sometimes, man, somebody get me. And I promise you, I get kind of hot. Ridiculous, David. Anyway, it happens, though. It happens. I got a long fuse, but it gets light. But my point is, it's kind of like the line in the sand has been drawn. Like, are you going to stay silent and wait for this thing to blow over? And then after that, you want to be cool again, go out and hang out, get a couple of beers, get a couple of drinks, whatever you want to do, we can kick it. Or are you going to be there with me to kind of, let's work together to get progressive. Let's figure out a solution to this issue. You know what I'm saying? There's people that I ain't heard from. And I watch them too, and I don't see them do anything.
Ramon, as looking in from a sky view, from skybox, that's called passive aggressive behavior.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I'm just adding on. Yeah, I get it.
Really
you're absolutely right.
People really aren't going to take your calls if they're not feeling it. So not everybody's going to be out there protesting if they don't understand.
Part of the passive aggressive behavior is to chameleonize themselves as like, yeah, I got you, brother. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it sucks. Trayvon got stomped out and shot for wearing a hood, going to get a bag of Skittles at the store. That could easily have been my 11-year-old son who goes around the corner to get 7-Eleven when I tell him to. You know what I'm saying? There's no correlation in that. There's no fun in that. It's cool to do the nay-nay and do the dances and catch up on the slang and hit up all the moves and stuff. But when it comes to actually putting your foot to the pavement and standing on something that's actually of value, you can't do that. And that's what a lot of Americans realize. And that's why we have a lot of the people that we doing what they do, because they realize that it's actually time to act and do stuff and not just sit up here and make it sound good and hokey pokey and sit up here and do these things. It's unnecessary for me.
Do you feel it's necessary? Do you think it's beneficial for white men and women, brown men and women to unite with you on this cause? Or do you feel like, you know what, I don't even want y'all because y'all ain't done nothing. I'm going to keep it amongst myself and my community because you guys don't care? Do we segregate or do we unite?
I think segregation is uniting. I'm not saying that. Yeah. I don't think that there's, anything that I don't really want. I don't want them to be united with me. I want them to be united and speaking out and, being like, hey, that shit's wrong. I don't need you to stand up with me. I need you to stand up at home. That's what I need you to do. I need you to stand up at the police station. I need you to stand up at home. If you white and you got a white family and they talking that shit, then you stand up at home. I don't need you to stand up with me. I can stand up fine by myself. I need you to stand up with me and when the police are outside doing something to me. You know what I mean? Or when some shit's going on at work. I mean, do I need you to stand up with me and be united with me? I mean, no.
I think that's what I really mean.
No. What I need is the motherfucking police to stop killing me. That's what I need. I don't need anything from white people but that. That's what I need. Do I need an ally in that? No, I need the police to get a Mando minimum sentence, and I need the police to lose their pension and their retirement, and this shit will change. I don't need nothing from my neighbor. I don't need nothing from Joe Smo outside. I don't need to hold hands. I don't need a phone number. I don't need a goddamn alliance. I need the police to lose their shit so they stop. That's what I need.
But David, that's just the police. And I guess my question to that is, that's just the police. What about the rest of the systemic racism?
Okay. Well,
what about
police? This part right now, talking about justice, these are the ones getting off. So this is a major thing. I think if that stops, it'll be a trickle of shit stopping. But because you have these lawmen that are getting off, then these other people are going to definitely do the same thing too. Hey, if it's the Wild West right now and Wyatt Earp does whatever, then guess what? Doc Holliday can do whatever too, homeboy.
Wyatt Earp? I haven't heard that
Right?
since my dad was talking to me about life. I totally understand what he's saying. You know, I feel as though as a professional in this particular field, I feel as though it's critical of us to understand people. And once you understand people, you can better discern how people are and their intentions are to react to certain situations, so to speak. And if you can do that, might be able to avoid drastic behavior on their part. You know what I'm saying? But there may come a chance that you can't avoid it. And then what? You know what I'm saying? What we're trying to avoid is the purposeful, malignant, like cancerous behavior that a lot of the culture has been built on in America.
So how do you change that?
How do you change that? For one, people like me have to speak up. I'm in the field, right? So I have to speak up. Number two, if there is no justice for crimes against humanity, there's none. You can charge somebody, but then allow them to go on trial and there be no charges. Well, the jury voted that they didn't 10-2 that they didn't do anything wrong. People will take this shit as a joke, which is what they do now. And the fact that all four of those officers have not been charged when they all complicitly agreed to do something is bothersome to me in the profession. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel as though all four of them should have been charged, because if the one dude sitting up there was more concerned about being on videotape, blocking the view of his officers, then we wouldn't be in this scenario.
Mikey,
Yes.
how do we move forward? How do we change this? Personal responsibility?
How do we change what? How do we change what? We're not going to drive out. We aren't going to drive out the hate. The systemic racism, man, it's so much that needs to happen. It's so much that needs to happen. Honestly, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck on the justice part right now. I don't think that, I mean, like, look, our lives aren't as important as theirs. Lives don't mean to them, and is like we're 100 years, we're 75 to 100 years away from racism not being an issue like that, like where they see us as equal, where if we're affecting I know people say we need to come together with the black dollar and this, that. Yeah, man, I think we do, but I don't know. Honestly, I haven't even thought about it. I would like justice.
Real quick, one quote that I love it says, "To be African American is to be African without memory and American without privilege." So until everybody understands our plight and can have empathy with it and view us now as humans and equals, this is going to keep going on. I disagree with Judah to a certain extent, as we do need every single culture understanding the issue, because it's not a black, white, brown, it's a human issue. No human should be able to be okay with putting their knee on another man's neck. That's a human issue.
Somebody said, Rebel Star said, the whole justice system is corrupt. It needs to be taken down and built back up in the image and the diversity of people.
V, you got kids, right?
Yeah.
You got kids, right? Okay. If your kids think you bluffing, you don't think they're gonna test you?
Straight up.
Yeah.
Not mine.
Yes.
Wait a minute. You can't have two different answers if y'all the same parents. It don't. I'm just saying.
They try, but they try.
They'll try with me, not with him.
Look, let's just say for hypotheticals.
Looks like you said, it sounds good.
It sounds good in theory. In theory, it sounds good. But you sit up there, you trying to discipline your kids, right? So my daughter right now, she's 2, going on 32. And right now we're doing timeout. If my daughter senses, not even knowing, but her senses, I'm not taken seriously, she won't go to timeout.
Real talk.
She
That's
won't
real
go
talk.
because she knows in her mind that she could test you. And so my whole theory with that is the people know when you BSing about,
They know.
oh, this is third degree murder we're going to charge him with. By the way, we're going to come out with an autopsy that says he had fentanyl in his system and he died by asphyxiation. However, he did have drugs in his system. That's a backhanded compliment, G. You know what I'm saying? You can't operate like that. You can't have your hand in the cookie jar and say you hate cookies at the same time, bro. And
You know what?
That's what we do.
Hey, Murray, and that's how the cookie crumbles. Hey, guys, I say that it's been a good time hanging out with y'all.
Love you too.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna dip out now and eat my dinner, get ready for, things. Good night.
Night. LJ, you want to respond to that?
To which part? There was a lot. I heard
Whatever you
about
wanna respond
cookie jar, hokey pokey.
Everything.
What do we do to fix this?
So my theory, and I mean Mikey mentioned it, but my theory is economics. The bottom line here is the race is a factor, but if you move the dollar, people listen. That's how I see it. That's my opinion. Change the way the money flows, you get the attention of the audience that really makes decisions, right? So all this rioting, looting, right? That's just a slap in the face. Gucci ain't hurting. Target ain't hurting. They ain't hurting. Like, I mean, yeah, the small businesses are hurting. So that's true. But what are we really accomplishing? You know what I mean? But I tell you what, man, you take 20% of Target's revenue and channel it in a different direction, Target will be about the culture. I know that. So that's how I see things. That's how I think we should approach things. Move the dollar. America's about money. So that's my opinion.
I wanna say too, to what Murray was saying about knowing how to deal with people. I think California, we have we have a very diverse population here in California. It's not like that in the rest of America. But I think interacting with people that are not like you, or interacting with people that are different from you, gives you a different level of understanding of what their struggle is, because now you've developed a relationship with that person. You can understand, or at least empathize a little bit with what they're going through. So I think a lot of the times, a lot of the police, me and Ivy have talked about this before, that are serving in their community have never been around those people before. So you don't know how to deal with those people. Your police force should reflect, Ivy said this several times, your police force should reflect the community you serve in.
I mean, but I said that. Murray said we can't do that with numbers. You know what I mean?
It just does, logistically, it doesn't make sense. Your hiring standards are too high. They're too unrealistic. You're trying to get Captain America to become a police officer, and it does not exist. Like, you get a black dude that actually wants to make change and implement change in his community, and he has a 620 credit score. You want him to have a 740 credit score. Think about that.
But what about
how much time?
What about recruiting right out of high school? You don't see the cops recruiting out of high school at black schools.
Like the military.
Ivy, there's no credit history. I'm telling you.
There's no life experience.
There's no life experience. Yeah. Like a person can grow up in the hood, but at the same time, they have like a 620 credit score. The police department is going to be like this. Nope. And then what? The person can actually want to do better than the life that he had, implement change and affect things on a direct basis. But he can't do that because his credit score isn't high enough. Think about that in the reflection of things.
That goes back to my previous point. Do we need to change how we accept police officers or the entrance of police officers? Do we really need to? I mean, do we need to look at that? The credit score thing just baffles me, because if what you're telling me is correct, in poverty, and we look at demographics, we're excluding a lot of people from being able to enact change. So
that goes back to financial literacy, like you said, Lee. That goes back to financial literacy. If you don't have financial literacy and then you're going to take a test where you need a minimum of a 720 credit score, think about that. How are you going to impact your community that you grew up in and you don't have a credit score to meet the qualifications?
It's to weed out people. That's what it is. It's to weed out people. But at the end of the day, they need to be more concerned about what the person is like. Do you have the mental EQ to be able to handle, like you said, Murray, stressful situations? Do you have?
In theory, that sounds good, Carla. That sounds good in theory.
But
in theory, the person that graduated from UCLA with a master's degree in music sounds good in theory. And we have go ahead.
The EQ part isn't even till later. Correct me if I'm wrong, Murray. I mean, we still got to get past the credit score. You know what I mean? So we don't even care about your emotional EQ at this point. We just care about it. It sounds like to me, we just care
Carla,
about.
As long as you don't flip out on the interview, you're gonna get the job.
And that's crazy. That's crazy.
Think about that. As long as you don't flip out on the interview, you're gonna get that job. And if you get the job and you sit up here and you go to stop a homeless guy who's been living on the streets for the last 18 years, and you go up there and you sit up here and you try to talk to him like he's a statistic instead of a person, there's going to be a problem. And not only is there going to be a problem, there's going to be a movement, because you sit up here and talk to this person like they're not a human being. And that's the problem that we have in our infrastructure.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Another thing that's the problem is a lot of times, well, 90% of the time, these cops who are caught killing minorities have previous track records of abusing their power.
And that's where Leon spoke about. That's where Leon spoke about. Leon spoke about the pensions. If you make police officer unions pay the settlements to these decisions in court, things will change drastically.
What do you guys think about this perspective? Defund police and create community policing like the neighborhood watch with more power and structure.
Not gonna work. Nope.
Why?
We don't need more George Zimmermans running.
Yeah.
You don't need Harold in the hood.
No, or what's gonna happen is they're gonna get shot like Ahmaud Arbery. They were freaking
what's gonna happen is you're gonna get somebody that'll be like, man, fuck you, Mr. Harold. And they're gonna be like, oh, Mr. Harold's gonna be like, well, wait till I get this thing out. And then he pulls it out, and then what?
Yeah.
You gonna shoot somebody for hopping the fence to cut through a neighborhood so they don't have to go through to get jumped? You gonna sue somebody, Mr. Harold? That's what you actually have to think about. Do you have the ability to take someone's life and justify it? That's what being a cop is all about, in my opinion.
I think that if the party is formed like the way the Black Panther Party was and originally, then yes, I think that's a good idea, because they had the right idea and they were doing the right things. But the thing about this country is whenever there's a rise in Black power, like whenever there's I wouldn't even call it power, I would just say influence. Like whenever there's rise in Black influence against the government, they killed the person.
Oh yeah, look at Huey Newton, man.
They killed Huey Newton. They killed Martin Luther King.
Chicago. I mean,
they killed Dr. Sebi.
They killed Malcolm X. You can even say they. I mean, it nothing fails to surprise me when it comes to this country.
Like Murray's been like the on running thing. It sounds good. It sounds good, but they just gonna kill him. They just gonna kill it off. They killed off the Black Panther Party, and the Black Panther Party were doing the right. They was like, "You not finna, beat up our women."
Mike, there's no consistency. There's no consistency.
And that's
one thing I think personally, this is just me. One thing that I think that is a problem with America in today's society, there's no consistency. They can kill off the leader and then the movement stops. What was the movement without the leader? So you were just supporting the leader as opposed to the movement per se. Think about that for a second.
No, but I mean, let me tell you, I kind of agree with that. But the other thing is what they do, just like today when I saw them rolling out in their tank-like vehicles.
Hey man, I'm just saying.
In their tank-like vehicles, they over-enforce. They over-enforce so that the next person is scared to do anything. They over-enforce, they set an example, make an example. You know what I'm saying? Like today, they're over-enforcing. They sending us out the curfew time. Like I literally got it 5 minutes before curfew yesterday. Like, what if I'm outside? Now they got the right to shoot me. Cause I got the curfew notice 5 minutes before curfew. Huh?
Hey, Mike, I'll give you one better. In Dallas, I know for a fact from me vetting several media outlets, they put brick pallets in front of the Dallas downtown courthouse. Mm-hmm. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, they baiting them to do it. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I do think that we should, I would love to see us be able to come together like that. They're gonna attack it. They're gonna like Black Wall Street. The anniversary for that was just recently, but you saw how that we understand that was Black influence. It was like,
yes, absolutely.
Man. It's like, no.
My father always told me the most dangerous thing on the planet is an educated Black man. That's what my father has always taught me. And it's because of the fear that they have for us being educated as individuals. Now, we would get lynched if we could read in slave times. You know that, right? We would get lynched.
I mean, we still getting lynched now, though. We getting publicly executed now. And just to answer your question, Carla, I would love to see that actually, because like, but ain't nothing gonna change. They're not gonna do nothing to this dude. They're not gonna do nothing
with third-degree murder,
third-degree manslaughter, not murder.
Right.
It's a matter of them trying to get the jury to convict him of something. Yeah, if you actually look,
that's nothing.
I understand that. I understand that, Mike. Mike, I feel you. I totally understand.
Like nothing is going to change. The only way that something is going to change is when blood is shed. And guess what? The government understands that. They know that. But it's been established. They're going to keep saying like, oh, the Christians, the Christianity, and they don't like, bruh, like I read the Bible thoroughly when I read it too. I read it good, man. I read it good. Like I study when I'm reading the Bible, I study the Bible. And bruh, sometimes violence is the answer.
Yeah, but
God hardened Ramsey's heart.
Tank-like vehicles rolled out.
Exactly. That's why they're rolling them out.
And the governors and the state officials, they're placed there to make sure that everybody's safe. Whether that is a building, whether that is you as an individual, that's the cause of all these riots. How do we move from this violent protest to now take action to get change?
I guarantee you the riots would not have lasted as long if they charged all four. I can put that on. I'll put that on my kids, bro.
Riots still would have happened. People were just mad.
Listen.
I think it would have happened too. People been on quarantine for 3 months.
It's inevitable.
No, like
things are inevitable.
When I watched that video, it made me upset. I didn't care what was going to happen to those 4 men. I know that something should have happened, but the simple fact that it happened. And the cops that did it took them forever to indict them.
How would you feel if when you saw it, you knew for a fact that the government was going to publicly execute those guys?
How would you feel?
Be upset.
Honestly, I think I would feel complicit. I think you would have to be okay with it, because if you were a police officer and you knew the consequences of the job prior to signing up for the job, and you did the job, and there comes a point in time where you need to act and do those things, and you do something that's fucked up, you should know what the consequences are.
Yeah,
and you better be okay with
civilian's life is your life.
But
I'm just saying,
but to interject real quick, I've seen several different videos of cops putting their knees on people's necks, black, whites, and Mexicans. So it's not just he put his knee in.
I said civilian. I said unarmed civilian.
I got it.
People that were detained. I've seen cop videos, multiple videos of the knee being applied to the neck.
We'll even go with this: detained.
Right.
Because detained doesn't necessarily mean that it's legal. It just means that they have the legality to stop them. Now, if I stop Mikey and I sit up there and say he matches the description of somebody that stole something 6.5 years ago from John's bookstore, I have every right to stop Mikey, right?
Yeah,
I do legally.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah.
Does that make it right?
But that's why we need. That's why we need what Carla was saying is the people that police the police, where it's like, whoa, you can't. You're not taking this one, not right now.
Right.
We'll figure this out another way.
There needs to be harsh consequences and new training.
And that's what I'm saying. Nothing is going to happen.
Right now needs to be
there will not be harsh consequences.
Discrimination history. You need to be pulled out and retrained.
They're not going to do anything. They're not going to do anything. There won't be any harsh consequences.
So you know what?
The only time that something is going to happen.
Listen, it's a long uphill battle to change. The only way we can change those things is if we elect people in places that are going to do truly what the people want to be done. The only way we can do that is to elect people and hold those elected accountable. The government is supposed to work for the people, not the other way around.
Hey, Carla, that sounds good.
It's not going to happen though if we don't do anything.
It sounds good in theory.
Listen,
it sounds good in theory.
Listen,
hold on. Let me counterpoint your point, Carla, because you're right. That makes sense. But 4 years ago, we had a black president who had 2 attorney generals that were also black. And during the time of those attorney generals, we had Tamir Rice.
Nothing happened.
Shout out to Nate Holden.
Yeah, all these people. Yeah. And not even indictments. There weren't even indictments.
Nothing happened. So like
Roman, to piggyback on what you're saying, bro, Philando Castile, bro, said, hey, I have a licensed carry weapon with me right here. I'm letting you know so you don't flip the fuck out. And what happened? He said,
in that same video,
go get it.
In that same video, though, from one of our previous epic thoughts, you hear the cops tell him, don't reach for it like 4 or 5 times. Then they shoot him because he was reaching for it.
Was he reaching for it or his wallet who was on the right side?
You listen to the video, he says, I have to reach for it. It's very small. And I knew as soon as I heard them say that, that's
why those cops got off.
And they killed him in front of his daughter, right? His daughter was in the back seat.
4-year-old daughter was in the back.
Watch this. So watch this. What if they knew that if they killed this man, then they will be killed in front of their kids?
But they wouldn't lose that battle.
No, they would. They would
not lose. If the audio says, because all I can go is off the audio. The audio literally says,
you don't have to go off the audio. You can go off the video. You don't have to go off the audio. You can go off the video and watch him and watch his 4-year-old daughter
in the back seat in her car seat.
Got to do a police
Watch her
protocol.
dad get
Protocol,
shot up.
Murray, what's your protocol if you tell somebody who tells you, I have a gun, and you say to that person multiple times, don't reach for it, don't reach for it.
First of all, I'm pulling them out the
and
car.
they go in the direction of that gun.
First of all, V, I love you, bro, but I'm gonna pull him out the car, and I'm gonna take the gun.
So, but
see that? You see how that goes? You see how that goes? I
You
put
have the
myself
right
in
to shoot
harm's
him.
way.
As a cop.
Listen, I understand that, but I'm going to pull them out the car, and I'm going to take the gun.
That's what you're going to do, and that's the right thing to do. But do you have the right to shoot him at that point? Is my question as a cop.
No, absolutely not. I think that the shooting thing.
Not the legal right. Does the law?
The legal right. I don't even think that that's the right thing for you to do when you have the legal right, because
I'm not saying that. I think it's a horrible thing. I don't think the man was going to shoot them. His girl was there. His daughter was in the back. I don't think that man was about to put nobody in trouble. I think he was nervous and was scared.
He was scared.
He literally told the cop. He said, "Hey, I have a license to carry right here."
Yeah, but if you're not used to dealing with black folks, you're scared off jump.
That's the problem.
Scared of that black man.
Just because I do this doesn't mean I need to get shot and killed. I don't need to do this.
Okay.
Doesn't mean I need to get shot and killed.
I want to preface something really quick to what Ramon was saying about the Obama era and politics. We need to be concerned about our local politics and who's the chief of police, who's in charge of the county, who's in charge of the city. When was the last time anybody voted for a mayor? When's the last time? We need to be involved in our local politics.
Carla, you're 112,000% right. But in actuality, in reality, people don't look at these processes and forms of voting as quick and decisive measures of a reaction to a problem. But
that's the problem. And that's my point. If we keep saying, well, it's never going to work, it's never going to happen.
Even if we didn't vote, even if the voting part, because it happens every 4 years to vote. Something happens in the middle of a voting thing. What is the plan of action? And that's what we need to know. That's what we need our leaders to step up and develop a plan of action that's going to get change other than violence. So violence is going to cause reaction, and it's going to turn towards us.
What's the plan of action for when somebody kills somebody out of hate? Shit, fuck it. What's the plan of action when somebody kills somebody out of hate?
But you're saying something unrealistic that's not going to happen. If it's
earlier in the conversation,
last time I checked, they did not teach that shit at the academy, bro.
I know that.
Earlier in the conversation, I said, I don't know, but I do know that peace is not the answer.
Listen,
I do know that justice comes by bloodshed, and the government knows that. To make it balance, so I know nobody wants to hear that, and I know it seems unrealistic, but that's all I know. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Because the cops are gonna after
the blood is shed, where do we go from there?
Go, LJ.
I just have a question, and I'm kind of relate to Carla on this. How many senators and congressmen have you seen come down and march, protest, or do anything of a sort? Yet it's an election year. Yet they will pander for the vote. But how many have you seen actually come the masses? You haven't. So Carla has a point, but nobody wants to hear that because it would take time and patience to do it. And we're out of patience at this point. So I get it. You're out of patience. You can ride and loot and keep riding and looting. At the end of the day, it's not going to solve anything except for get the attention. We've gotten the attention. Now let's change the narrative.
Exactly.
Listen,
So what do you
got
do?
the
What do you do now? Now that you got the attention, what do you do?
so
You
What
have-
is it?
Go ahead.
go
Go ahead,
ahead.
Carla.
No, go- Unions are effective. Good unions are effective because they strategize, they mobilize, they unify, and they execute. Okay? I've been a part of a union for a long time for a corrupt organization, and the organization is not perfect, but it takes time and patience to make change. But as a community, we need to organize, we need to strategize, and we need to unify. Okay?
Yep.
That's the only way.
We need to get on one page as a collective thought.
That's it.
If
I
we all
feel
have,
that, and I know that that's gonna take time. And in
Yes.
the meantime,
In the meantime,
I
we
think
need to
that
empathize with each other.
Why don't we take that same energy right now and channel it towards political action, political party?
Your community.
Why, how long will we go down the same road, right? So I was in LA during the 1992 riots. I saw a video of 3 generations of Black men sitting there saying, we're doing the same thing over and over again. Yes, we've got attention, right? So at this point, you got attention. Okay, so would you buy yourself 10 years of a piece or 5 years a piece until it systematically builds back up again? I mean, Carla has a point. It's only through economics and politics, and people don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear. They're not even ready for that topic. They don't.
You gotta spend time in investigating. You gotta spend your time in research instead of scrolling on Facebook and social media all day. You gotta educate yourself.
Also, to that point, I see what you're saying, and I agree. To add to that, remember, we were never around for this, but the Montgomery boycott, when they decided in the 50s or 60s that they weren't going to get on the buses no more until change happened, after Rosa Parks got arrested. That boycott was 1 year and 16 days. They boycotted for 1 year and 16 days. So it took consistency, it took commitment, it took patience, and they had to consistently do it. And
Ramon, where did that boycott hit them?
It hit them in their pockets.
The pockets changed.
so. I don't want to sound like I don't agree with y'all because I do. But for the 10 years that it's gonna take to get that together, what are we gonna do?
Organize, mobilize, strategize. That. I mean, we can sit
For the
here.
10 years that it's gonna take for that plan to roll out, to affect the economy, how many more people gotta die?
So
I'll tell you one thing that I truly feel about what's going to happen right now, especially with all the rioting and looters. A lot of people really didn't understand what happened when the president declared Antifa a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you are still looting and you happen to be Black and you're with Antifa and you're rioting, you're going to be labeled a terrorist at that point. And what a lot of these young Black kids don't understand is once you're labeled a terrorist, it's a whole nother ball game because of Patriot Act.
Mm-hmm.
Whole nother ball game. So that's going to put a lot of, and this is only my opinion. I'm just foreseeing what I think is about to happen. And a lot of
like
people
I said before, apartheid should have been nothing but bloodshed, like Dave Chappelle said. It should have been nothing but bloodshed because it was 10 times worse than what we're going through right now. And the only way they avoided that shit is if they allowed the people that have participated in it to voice what they did. And that helped avoid the bloodshed. But what's happening now is the people are dismissing it and they're allowing their feelings to be pushed to the forefront. I don't feel like though it's right that you guys loot. I don't care if you guys got killed, but you guys shouldn't loot. How are you going to tell somebody how to cry when someone they know dies? It doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem that we have in America. You're trying to dictate how somebody should react to something that happened to them. And it's not fair. It's not fair, dude. It's not fair.
Your grief shouldn't affect somebody else's well-being and property. That had nothing to do with it.
It sounds good. That sounds good.
No,
But what happens?
That's literally what happens. Like if you're crying and you come to my house to burn it down, I'm gonna kill you.
If that
I'm protecting
it
mine.
sounds good though. It sounds good in theory, bro. And we can agree to disagree, and I totally understand that. But it sounds good in theory. Like I can't tell Leon how to react if his pops dies. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's unfair to me as a person to tell someone how to have a human emotion.
And I agree, but
so upset that his dad died that he came to your house and started to destroy your car. You gonna tell him that that's not right. Or you gonna say, you know what, he's mad because his dad died. I'm gonna let him bust my windows out. I got insurance. Or you gonna do a J.R. Smith?
I mean, again, how long are we gonna play this narrative? Because I just don't think it's. I mean, you got your point across. How long are we gonna play this narrative, right? How long can this last? I'm calling out the National Guard. We're coming out of a COVID crisis. 40 million people unemployed. How long do you want to play this out? And I'll couple it with this, right? I've been in an unstable country in 2003. Y'all don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that. You don't want what other countries have seen when dictatorships or democracies tumble. I promise you, you will not be happy. Like, you think you're mad now, you'll be really mad later. And so that's why, I mean, I've talked to each of you kind of separately about it, but go visit a third world, go visit what economic and political destabilization looks like. And you think you want to talk about protecting your kids now? Imagine no law. Imagine nothing. Imagine that. How would you protect your kids then? You can't. So again, and maybe it's just the patriot in me, maybe it's the soldier in me. You guys need to focus on protecting democracy. I understand, like the George Floyd situation, I understand we're upset, but the democracy that we live in is second to none. And if we keep playing these games where we just want to push the envelope all the way to the edge, I'm not saying that you shouldn't push the envelope, but I am saying keep pushing it to the edge. And Mikey's talking about tank-like, and he's talking about things like that. Keep pushing that way, and you'll see the destabilization of democracy. I'm telling you, I mean, that's not the way we want this country to go. Some people think it's that way.
All Mikey wants is justice.
I get that.
All I want is justice.
But I see a lot of people, man, and they want a full-scale revolution, but they don't want that full-scale revolution life.
That's where I think that Mikey is right. Mikey is right to want justice. But when people use the word justice, they need to understand that it's fluid to everyone.
Yeah.
Because fluid to you, and fluid means change to people out there on Facebook Live. It changes to every single person that is interpreting the word that is being spoken. So whatever Mikey wants, somebody down the line may not want that exact same thing. So that means that it became fluid.
I want there to be reciprocation for if you kill, if you murder an unarmed civilian and it's on video and it's clear that you murdered an unarmed civilian, then I believe that justice is you getting treated the exact same way.
I respect that, sir.
Listen.
Yeah.
LJ, I agree with you 100%. I think we can say they, the powers that be, whoever it is that you think that's manipulating things behind the scenes, they want to see democracy crumble in our country. And with things that are going on, like policing our state, making our curfew be whatever it is, that's exactly what's happening. I'm the only one in my family that was born here in the United States. My family came to the United States from oppressive governments. People don't want. This is To a lot of people that have lived and grown up somewhere else, this is the best country to live in because of the freedoms that we have here. And you can ask any immigrant, everybody wants to come here for that reason. And the only way that we're going to protect our democracy is by uniting, stabilizing, and strategizing and doing it together. But it's not going to happen tomorrow. We're going to let people heal. We're going to let people say how they want to, how they feel, be upset and be angry, and we'll empathize with you. But after that's done, let's mobilize, strategize, and affect our community with change.
Well, what is that? What is that? I don't think I understand, because I know, like I understand the part, Leon, where you're saying how we hit there, how the bus boycott, it affected their wallets. So is that the same thing that you're saying, Carla, is to affect their wallets?
That's a portion of it.
A portion of it, okay.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Because I'm trying to get like what's gonna happen. So we boycott until they vow to stop killing unarmed Black men, or until.
Well, will they stop doing that?
The consequence, and
like,
that
I feel like as a professional, Black men, and this is terrible, I'm gonna say this, but it is what it is, and I'll stand 10 toes on what I say whenever I say it. I feel like Black men being killed in America is like a deer head over a fucking mantle in a fireplace.
Right. So I'm saying, with us affecting the economy, with us affecting their money, like what are we asking for when we do that?
I think you guys.
All I'm asking for is a life for a life. That's it.
I think you guys are mistaken.
And I guarantee that will make a change.
I think you're just mistaken, or like what I'm saying. Like it's not one singular approach, right? There's an economic approach, there's a political approach, there's a policy approach. There are multiple ways to achieve this. And we keep going down this path in this conversation of one singular approach when we really should be talking about a 360 view.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand.
I don't know. I can only speak to the economic view. I can only speak to like the political view. You know what I mean? But guess what? Within our own culture, we're so fractured. We can't get along within our own culture to talk and come to an agreement and say, right, you know what, you're strong in this, you focus on that. You're strong in this, you focus in this, and let's go out as a group and make a change. I think that was the initial thought with BLM, but they were ostracized by.
But that's America. What's going to happen. That's what's going to. Right. That's why I said. Right. That's why I said during the 10 years that it takes to get that done. Because we can't come together. We can't say this person is good at this person. And then when we finally do that, they're going to ostracize it. They're going to try to tear it down. So then when we get past that, and it's 10, 15 years down the line, what have we done in the meantime? In the meantime, in between time? Because we can look at history and know that all of those things are going to happen. They're going to kill some of us in it when they see it starting to have influence. They're going to start taking people out. They're going to start spreading lies in it. They're going to say this person said this and this. They're going to infiltrate it with the FBI. So,
and I see all those things, but to the point of MLK and Malcolm X, this wasn't a 1 year thing. This was a whole entire decade to get us to a point, and it cost. I hate to say it, it costs lives.
Okay. So
you know what I mean?
So now you're saying that there are going to be, so now we got to sit 10 years and continue to let this happen. We have to sit
or we can
just let it happen until we get it all figured out.
Be in the 60s, man.
All I'm saying is this, man.
I know we're not in the
60s, but justice is fluid. Hey, Mikey. Justice is fluid,
I understand
bro.
what you're saying with that. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that it's balance. I think justice is balance. That's what I
But
think.
but what is justice though? Think about it.
What is balance?
Have we ever had justice? Because
No.
if we ever had justice, we would literally have a 40 acres and a mule.
Right.
So
Yeah, I understand
justice, this thing, justice is fluid. And I think only when people react and they go out and protest and things of that nature, they sit up there and they wonder if this is justice. And my only thing with justice would be charge all them motherfuckers. That's my point of view.
Charge them, but they're gonna get off. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we charge them, but then what? They get third-degree manslaughter or a lesser charge.
Here before Ramon takes over, because I know they're about to wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
Just to address your 10-year thing, what do we do in the next 10 years while we're getting whatever happening to us?
Right.
That's the time to come together, get a plan together, strategize, mobilize, and get something in place and get behind some leaders, some politicians that are going to advocate for our change. That's the only way this is going to happen. Hit them in every stage, hit them in their pockets, hit them in the political standpoint.
Yes, I agree with all of that. I agree with all of that, but that, like y'all said, that's gonna take time. So
but it's gotta happen.
Let the lives just continue to go. We continue to die. We continue to not be safe.
So continue to saying don't do nothing. Don't do anything.
That's not what I'm saying. No, that's not what I'm saying.
LJ, do you want to respond to that? And then we'll close.
No, I mean, I know it's going to take time and it's going to cost lives. And maybe I just have a different perspective because, you know, we've been at war for like 19 years with other countries and we're trying to get our points across and it's cost us lives. I mean, we can either stand still or we can mobilize into action, but we cannot continue. After, and I ask people this all the time, after the looting, after the rioting, then what? You know, do we go back to work? Do we go back to the way we are? Or do we, I mean, I just simply think that we aren't patient. I get it. We shouldn't be patient because of certain things that have happened, but like, we can't come together as a society. I've never seen it. I've never seen it since the 60s because we tear down one another, we can't get along, and
that's because in the 60s
I didn't get my point across, so I'm gonna split off from you guys. And that's exactly what they want. That's exactly how it works. And if you cannot come together as a community and as a people and enact change in all the facets of government that encompass government, we're just talking about the crumbs on the table.
Yeah,
keep on talking about
police. 1000% agree with you. Let me make that abundantly clear. I 1000% agree with you. I want to see that happen. I really do. I want to see it happen. And I will be willing to put in my sweat equity to make it happen. Like wherever I can, whichever part I might be good at or whatever, like all of that. But what I'm saying is, in the next 10 years that it takes for that, like while we're mobilizing, while we're strategizing, what are we gonna do to keep us safe? Because it's that's the initial issue, is that we are not safe.
I would say, like, I get where you're going with that. And all we can do is educate and inform. It won't save all of us, but it will save some of us. A lot of people give him crap, but Kaepernick has a whole Know Your Rights campaign, like where he teaches the laws and what you should say and what you shouldn't say to police, how to interact with police and all those things. I mean, we need to get behind programs like that. We need to get behind programs.
The sad part about that is they don't have that for white folks.
No.
Well, that is a sad part, but
that's the America. And that's the problem in America. That
me as a black man, you're diverting from the topic. The topic is we need to get behind people like that are trying to make people like LeBron, man. They're putting schools in economic.
That's
that's the people that are
something. We need a group to protect us. That's just how I feel about it. I agree with, again, even this part that you're saying, I agree with. But I also think we need a group to protect us, because we like, man, I can know every one of my rights. But if I get pulled over and he's pissed off, if I get pulled over and I'm taller than him,
I get it, man.
I got a black son, man. I got a black son. I got black daughters. Like,
I know.
There's never going to be an answer. There's never going to be. I don't even think we can find an easy answer. There are answers, but to find the answer, it's going to be more conversations needed like this on massive scale. It's got to go to scale, because this conversation is something that we could talk for another 2 hours. We've already been talking for 2. I ain't been talking. I've been listening. But there's just been, it's a start. We need to get to this point.
Can I respond to something before you close?
Sure.
What LJ I think is saying too, Mikey, is that the point is people's lives, Black people, brown people, are still gonna die.
right. So let's do it.
Let's
do it. If we know we're gonna be losing lives,
right?
Let's do it.
But the point is like, when those people lose their lives, we can be emotional, we can be angry, but we can't divert from the strategies and the plans and allow our emotions to get pimped out, because that's what they want us to do. They want us to lose our minds so they have the authority to control us and patrol us. You're not in line.
Right.
So that's what I think.
To lose our mind. I think that with a sound mind, I can say that I still would like for that the consequence of that action to be the exact action.
And I understand your point.
That's regular. Like, that's what they're gonna do to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
If we're gonna lose lives, then let's do it on purpose.
But
like, let's not just keep sitting back.
But let's make sure that the due process is equal for everybody, though, because there's still due process. That's the laws of the land right now. So what we got to do is we got to change the law.
Of the land, because them niggas got 3rd-degree manslaughter because of the law of the land. You cannot charge a cop for murder while he's on duty.
There's so much there. I mean, we can have this conversation forever.
Yeah,
like,
so the laws of the land, like
I had a point I was going to bring up to that point too, that we haven't even amended the civil right. We haven't even amended our civil rights since 1991, and even in 1991, they amended it to add women and homosexuals. They didn't amend nothing. So what we created in the Civil Rights Act in 1964 has not changed since 1964. So that, on that note, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, man. Like, I've learned a lot just listening. Got some things that I gotta sleep on and process myself, because there's some good meat.
Maybe we'll come back.
We may have to come back and do a part 2 of this. Murray's already gone. He's gone.
He was trying to get back on, but we want to.
Can I just say, Ro, compartmentalize everything, right?
Yeah.
Compartmentalize your anger, because you're allowed to have that. Then compartmentalize your strategy. Then compartmentalize how you move into action. You're allowed to have all that. You know what I mean? But if you let them jumble together, you become confused. So separate them out, be mad, and then say, okay, I'm moving on to this compartment. That's how I view things. It doesn't mean it's right, but that's how I view things.
I like that. Mikey, will you have something you want to close with?
No, I started. No, I think this is good. I think it's good to have the conversation. I think that it's good that we have different points of views, and we can find a way to put them together to come up with the solution, to come up with a strategy and stuff like that. I think what Leon is saying, a friend of mine also is a cop, and he was telling me we need more lawyers, we need more Black judges, we need more, and I 1000% agree. But same thing like this, in the 75 years it takes for us to get just as many lawyers and judges as they have, what are we gonna do? And I know people are gonna die. But
I've come to the conclusion that I need to pour into my kids so that they can make changes, so they can pour into their kids. That's all. I think that's all we can do. We want a solution.
That's what's going on,
but we just can't have a solution that fast. It takes generations of change. It took 100 years just to get to where we're at now. So
yeah.
I mean, all you can do is, if we need more Black lawyers, doctors, we need more representation, push your kids into those fields.
Yeah.
That's it. And have them push their kids into that field. Yep. And that's all we can do.
Ivy?
That's my only thought, is what are we going to do in the meantime?
Gotcha.
How are we going to protect ourselves?
I think in the meantime, and I get where you're coming from, but I think in that mobilizing, strategizing, and coming together with one mindset, there needs to be a plan on if you see something like a cop doing that, how to respond. You know what I'm saying? How to respond to that as a citizen. Mm-hmm. What action can you legally take to help protect that man that's down?
You can't take one. The action that you can take
if it's a group of 5 to 10 people that starts to walk up closely and say, hey, we're not going to let you kill him. Take your knee off of them. And they start moving in close.
Then they're going to start shooting. That's what I'm saying.
They're going to start shooting. I think he's going to stand up and say, get back.
Hey,
that will at least allow them to get his knee off his neck.
Do you guys notice something, though? I noticed a trend. When the Rodney King thing happened, right, and it was taped, after a while, when people started breaking out their cell phones, cops started acting okay. And then they would chill out. Then it came to, I'm going to take your cell phone. Then it came to, I'm just going to be blatant. So, you know what I mean? Like, for a while, if you got a cop on tape, then they put body cameras on them. Now they turn their body cameras off. I'm not even sure how you can do that. You know what I mean? So it is progressively moving towards some blatant stuff. So I didn't know if anybody else noticed that.
I noticed that. Carla, do you have anything?
No, I just want to first and foremost thank you guys so much for doing this. I want to say that I love you guys. Thank you for everybody who's listening. This is not the solution, and we might not come with it, today, but this is a start. I'm willing to continue the conversation. I just want to stand on this point. We all need to unite. I don't care what color you are. I don't care who you're married to. I don't care. We are only going to have change is if we all unite together. And that's really how I feel.
On that note, we're going to have to close. We've been on this has been a great conversation. If you missed any of it on Facebook, it's also going to be on YouTube tomorrow. If you missed any of it, it'll also be available on iTunes. So make sure you download Epic Thoughts on iTunes and you'll be able to get this conversation in its entirety.
Real quick, bro, our next panel, we're going to have a group of our counterparts on here, right?
We're working on that, yeah.
We're working on having a panel of non-Black people.
Oh, yeah. Oh. We are. We're working on, yeah. So we are going to work on the panel with the non-Black people.
If you'd like to be on that panel, hit us up.
Yeah, if you want to be on that, let me know. Anybody want to share tags where people can find them? Mikey?
Absolutely not. Not bad. I done said too much, man. Y'all go ahead.
He gonna go incognito for a couple of weeks.
One thing I think everybody needs to understand is everybody that was in this group together grew up together or knows each other, and so we all respect and value and love each other. There's no animosity or beef here, you know what I mean? So I think people need to know that, man. We all came up together and we're all in different fields, which makes it great. I loved it. I love the diversity.
I thought it was amazing too, Leo. LJ, I thought the same thing. It was great. It was great seeing you guys, and to hear all the stuff was just cool. I liked it, and I'm glad people got to see it. We actually had a lot of people watch on this one, and so with that being said, we're gonna take off. LJ, thank you. Mikey, thank you.
All right, appreciate y'all, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Murray, wherever you are, we lost you for a second. Thank you. And David, we appreciate you as well. Carla, Ivy, till next time. Peace. We out.